Hello, my name is David, and this is my project about salvation history. I am making this video to speak about 5 Bible stories and how they lead into salvation history. First, the covenant is a promise God made with human. God reaches out to man because he's trying to save them so they can go to heaven. God reaches us through either himself or through nature. God will always be just, but our actions will have consequences. And the first story I want to talk about is about the expulsion from the Garden of Eden. God kicked out the first humans in the world out of the Garden of Eden because they ate out of the wrong tree, out of the forbidden tree. The theme I found was God's anger, because when Adam and Eve ate out the tree they weren't supposed to eat out of, God was angry and kicked them out. And so the Bible verse I found was Genesis 3:3, and how this connects to salvation history is God wants a relationship with us, and we get that relationship back by not committing sin. The next story I want to talk about is about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah were both cities that had committed a lot of sin, so God destroyed both cities using burning sulfur. The theme I found in this story was choosing sin, because Gomorrah and Sodom chose sin instead of trying to be closer to God. I'm sorry for my voice. And one verse that can help me prove is Genesis 19:13. God says hell destroyed the city. This connects to salvation history because God did all he could to save us, but we chose sin. Even though God tried to save us by giving us rules to follow, like the 10 Commandments, we still chose sin. The next story is God testing Abraham. And so what happened was God told Abraham to do a sacrifice, but he had to sacrifice his only son that God promised him he would have. He took Ishmael to the top of the mountain and tied him down, and when he was going to stab him, God stopped him and gave them a sheep to sacrifice. The theme I found in testing Abraham was powerful faithfulness. Abraham was still faithful to God even though he had to sacrifice his only son. On Genesis 20:16, it says that Abraham still was faithful to the Lord even if he was not, he would commit, even if he had to kill his own son. How this connects to salvation history is that God kept his covenant to Abraham that he would still have a son. The next story I want to talk about is called the burning bush. Moses left Egypt after knowing he was an Israelite. He ran away because he killed a guard who was hitting an Israelite really bad or hard. He was living in a tent, and all of a sudden he saw a light, so he went to check it. It was God. He set one task for Moses, and it was to set his people free from Egypt and slavery. The theme I found in this story was being called, because God reached out to Moses so that he could set his people free. And on Exodus 3:8, it says how God is trying to save them from slavery so that they don't commit sin later on. And then how this connects to salvation history is he is keeping the covenant of Abraham through Moses of sending them to the promised land. The last story I want to talk about is about the 10 Commandments. Moses went up to a mountain and stayed there for 40 days and 40 nights. When God finally spoke to him, he gave him the 10 rules we shall follow so we can be with God in heaven. They're called the 10 Commandments. God gave them to Moses. And the theme I found in this story is God's laws, because those are laws that we shall follow from God so that we can get closer to him. And how the passage I found was on Exodus 20 through 17. It talks about how all the laws we should follow so we can go with God to heaven. If we break the rules, we're falling apart from God. And how this connects to salvation history is God is setting us rules and that we should follow so we can get closer to him. And Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys learned a thing or two about Salvation history and know you're never alone. Goodbye. Thank you.